And we are live, and welcome to another episode of the Qué Pasó podcast, episode 19. I'm Ernest.
Wow.
Uh,
Ozzy?
and I'm Eduardo.
Welcome again, everyone, and thanks for tuning in. This episode is about AMLO. Usually we have talked about him in passing or focused a certain amount of time on it, but this week we're going to be talking all about AMLO and his impact on the United States of Mexico. And yes, that is the name of Mexico. That's the actual name.
Yes. Well, we have a couple of topics right now about AMLO, which are the main ones. In this case, we are talking about the moral constitution, the law of remunerations for public servants, and of course the airport drama that keeps on giving.
Is that still getting worse?
Yep.
Mm.
Yeah, because I mean, the recent turn of events, the day after after the AMLO's inauguration, he went on to say that um, there wasn't going to be any airport, but guess what? The works will continue to to fulfill their duties towards the people that had invested on the airport, and also they were issuing more bonds to get more money for the airport. And so everybody was really, you are going to cancel the airport and still you're asking people to invest in the airport, in this airport, even so if they are it's going to be cancelled. Well, the thing is that now we everybody could see what is going on here. AMLO, well, who do you think it was the first one to said that they will buy these new bonds of investment?
Oh, wait. I
The government.
wait. What?
Mm-hmm.
The oh my god. What? What? Who? How is this not illegal or allowed? Why is this allowed?
Well, you see, you could say that uh, there's an president from Argentina. They defaulted for some public works,
Mm-hmm.
and then Cristina Fernandez de Kirchner uh, decided that, well, we ain't gonna pay. And at the end of the day, they ended up paying way more because of the class actions that were levied against um, the Argentinian government in the United States. Now they are drawn in debt because of this. I don't remember the specifics well, but apparently they were major lawsuits were being prepared against the Mexican government for the airport. Also, the thing here is that the thing with the airport is that many people, well, many people is convinced that this is some rescue to the banks that Obama made in back in what it was 2009.
Yeah, it was around 2009, 2010 is when the financial crisis happened. Yeah.
Yeah, well, here in Mexico we have an president also of the government saving the banks from the debt. It was called FOBAPROA, the organ of the government that was created to save the banks. Well, the thing
Mm-hmm.
is, many people here, many people that was with AMLO was absolutely against this FOBAPROA thing, and now AMLO is, rescuing the investors of the airport to cancel it, and everybody is, well, if he says so. I mean, do you remember that time? That time Trump said that if he could go to Times Square and shoot somebody, and he wouldn't lose any voters.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, this is a similar situation with AMLO. So the airport right now is the thing is, if it is cancelled, nobody will want to invest in Mexico after this. At least while AMLO is in power.
Well, he's already got a lot of investors upset. Um, he's damaged confidence in the Mexican economy because I mean, when the caravans came through, and he said, "Listen, we're going to, we want to give people, jobs and this and that." Um, that was kind of, okay. You're maybe there's something we can work around it. And then he offers the Cuban doctors from Brazil.
Oh well, funny thing. Now AMLO's personally said that it's not going to happen. The Cuban doctors here in Mexico, that they are not coming. I mean, he's so chauvinistic that he would prefer to give employee to uh, unemployed medics here. But the thing, also the thing, why this program existed in the first place in Brazil, because many doctors didn't want to live in the most remote areas of the Amazonian rainforest. And now, Mexico is like 25% the size of Brazil, more or less. But
Yeah.
we don't have a lot of rainforests, but we have a similar population, almost similar. They have a 200 millions. Mexico have like was 130 millions in inhabitants. Well, but in way less territory. But I mean, still in the not so vast terrain that comprises Mexico, there are some remote regions that doctors don't want to go to work, and it would make sense that AMLO, to fulfill his campaign promises, get these Cuban doctors to work here. I don't agree with the program because what's how they've been handled in Brazil by the UN and by the Cuban government,
It.
and
Yep.
also the other thing is that these well, people is not precisely people here needs the work, but still, what imagine uh, you tell a Mexican doctor that if for $1,000 he would go, which is 20,000 pesos, and it's a good wage, a living wage, actually, in some parts of this country. And if you tell a an unemployed Mexican doctor that, okay, we need you to go to, we are going to give you a job of your on your field of expertise, but the job is located in the Golden Triangle. For those who don't know, the Golden Triangle is the triangle that confirms the cities of Chihuahua, Culiacan, and Durango. Is the hottest place in the country of where drug lords live. So it's a risky job. So maybe somebody would say, you know what, I shouldn't go there. I wouldn't go there. It is really really, really dangerous for
What
me to
about
go there.
Aguascalientes? Should I go there?
Yeah, Aguascalientes is somewhat safe.
Okay.
So, yeah,
So go on. Sorry.
no, it's okay. And so, and now that they well, the problem is that AMLO one day says one thing, that the other says the exact opposite. So I'm not really sure what is going to be, what is going to happen if he in regard of the Cuban doctors. So
It's a really difficult topic, and I mean, I find that the way AMLO's going, like in terms of this style of foreign policy, I mean, he's cozied up with Maduro, which is an absolute no in the Latin community right now. I mean,
Yeah,
Maduro,
it it is.
nobody wants to deal with him, and I mean, I believe the Lima group had a plan, and it was to strangle the Maduro regime until democracy came back. And AMLO just derailed that. He's legitimized Venezuela. He's given them, a country quite a large and economically prosperous country um, to do trade with, and it's going to hurt relationships. I mean, with the states. I mean, with the other Latin American countries. I mean, I know Colombia is not going to be too pleased with this. Same with Peru. Same with Brazil's definitely not, now that Bolsonaro's about to be in charge in, my God, less than 20 days. Well,
yeah, and
um,
and of
and
course, well,
sorry.
about Maduro and Mexico, there's this thing that, well, I think we will have a special for Venezuela the next 10th, or for the next 10th of January. That is the new inauguration of Nicolas Maduro. I mean, at least
Yeah.
we could work about it, talk about it. But the thing here is that many countries did acknowledge the last election in Venezuela as a legitimate one. Not even the company that put all the infrastructure for the election. They said that it was flawed, that the system had been breached. So, what is going to happen when Maduro is sworn into office again?
Well, I
Bec-
mean, it's going to be an international, well, it is a debacle. I mean, right now they're just having their council elections, like municipal council,
yeah,
and it's the greatest farce or illusion I've ever seen in my life. I mean, I will give them points for pretending that they still have some kind of democracy, but I mean, when you have essentially, you know, what's his name there, Matt Myers running for the council, um, that guy. I'm sorry, you guys. If you look on my Twitter, there's a guy who looks just like that Myers Twitter fellow, running for the
Uncle
council.
Caleb.
Yeah, shout out to Caleb, by the way. But that this is all the topic for another much just as awesome episode. Right now, I mean, we've got to talk about AMLO. I mean, and a lot of people, I'm seeing one here from foreignpolicy.com, and some people are comparing him to, let me see, AMLO sees himself as the heir to Mexican giants like 19th century reformer Benito Juarez, early 20th century revolutionary Francisco Madero, and Lazaro Cardenas, a popular leftist president during the 1930s. And Eduardo, I remember you really don't like Cardenas.
no, I don't like Cardenas in the slightest. Well,
um,
but just to finish the thought of Venezuela,
sure.
uh, in the day of AMLO's inauguration, the reception that Maduro had in Mexico wasn't all that warm and pleasant. But there's this thing that supposedly in the party after the inauguration, Maduro apparently was talking to AMLO to see if Mexico could grant asylum to Venezuelan politicians of Maduro's regime in case something happened.
Oh.
I don't know. I don't know if this will come to happen. I mean, the signals that AMLO has been giving towards the relationship to Venezuela are not are really ambivalent. You can they are like they seem to be cordial, but there people have suspicions that the AMLO's team told Maduro not to show up on the Congress when he was in sworn into office. And well, in his speech, he clearly said he talk about Evo Morales and Lenin Moreno as his friends, but not he didn't mention Maduro as one of his friends.
But I mean, still, he invited Voldemort. Oh God, I can't believe I'm using Harry Potter references. But he invited the equivalent of Latino Voldemort to, or he's a leper. He's a leper. Okay, he's like the leper of Latin America. To his celebration.
You see Harry Potter comparisons. It's just like, ooh, it feels weird.
No, I cringed. I cringed a bit.
It's to get in touch with the current times.
I find though that you can't be giving these people anything. I mean, I know that Evo Morales is soon going to be getting. I think he's going in for another term.
Of course.
Oh fuck no.
Yeah. Okay. I think because they already changed the constitution. On a bright note, and I have to say this really quick and slightly off topic, Peru is had a referendum today, actually, to put in term limits for Congress. I don't know the results, but I'm hoping it was good.
Hey, I sent you a link on WhatsApp. So apparently, Chile has declined to sign the UN Pact on Migration.
They too?
Apparently, it seems.
Finally.
Oh.
And why is it the first thing I see is a picture of Pinochet smiling?
Oh yeah, I see. It says so in Reuters. It says Santiago, Chile has become the latest country to pull out of a controversial United Nations Migration Pact. Its interior ministry indicated, provoking fury among opposition parties who accused Sebastián Piñera's government of shameful and authoritarian. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, Piñera is now every leftist here treats him like our version of Trump, but he's like too laid down to be like Trump. I mean, he's right wing, but he's not that right wing.
Of course, well,
he's like right wing. He's like, I would say like I think the best word I have to describe it is just like a neoliberal capitalist.
So he's a boomer.
Yeah, boomer. Total boomer.
Yeah, I mean, and there's with this there's going to be another thing. This is Chile. With this is the first country in Latin America to actually say that backing down, that actually had backed down from that migration compact. Colombia hasn't said anything.
So our the Interior Minister's subsecretary, Rodrigo Villa, he said to El Mercurio, which is one of our main newspapers, in an interview about The pact, he says, our position is clear. He said, we have said that migration is not a human right. Countries have a right to determine the entry requirements of foreign citizens. Boom. Dab on the migrants, basically. But I mean, it's true. No one has a right to enter to another country. You have the freedom to, you want to go to another country, but it's up to them deciding they want to get in.
Indeed.
To get in. Yeah.
But by the way, guys, moving back onto the topic, I mean, we'll have to approach the compact another day, because there is still time before it gets signed.
It's tomorrow.
Oh crap!
So I think we should talk a little about it in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Is Mexico going to be signing that?
Everything looks like it looks like we are. I mean, Mexico signs every single treaty that it's presented to them.
Damn, you're too nice.
I don't support this position, but it's what it is.
Well, it's the same with Canada right now. Canada, like, there is a huge outcry of people saying, please do not sign the migrant compact. And Trudeau was just like, well, I'm going to sign it. And, well, because, of course, I mean, the man loves us. So, have to deal with it. But right now, good old Maxime Bernier.
Huh?
Oh, what happened?
Ernest.
Oh,
he's back.
You were out for a while. It was the Newfoundland police.
Trudeau finally got him.
No, yeah, he's hunting me down. He's hitting my internet. That crafty little bugger. But no, like the funny thing is that Maxime Bernier is pushing a petition so Canada will not sign this pact. It's got 53,000 signatures, which for Canada is quite a lot, and it's only been on since, let me see, October 24th, so I mean a month. Canada's pretty good. I mean, and let me see how many people have to sign the, like, I mean, I think right now it's actually large enough to open a debate in the House of Commons. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, but Mexico knows well. AMLO's not AMLO, but Olga Sanchez Cordero, AMLO's Interior Minister, already said that she is expecting to give the migrants something like 1 million jobs.
But isn't Mexico's unemployment rate rather high?
Yeah, way too high.
So when he can't even give his own people jobs, I mean, where are these going to come from? I mean, what kind? I mean, that if we look at it from an economic perspective, that's not good, because I mean, these Hondurans, El Salvadoreños, I think, or I don't know the exact term for El Salvadorians. I'm sorry.
Salvadoreños.
Salvadoreños. In English, is Salvadorians.
Well, yeah, as Salvadorians and Nicaraguans, Hondurans, maybe like the five people who live in Belize, but and Guatemala. I mean, these guys are going to work for cheap. I mean, they're going to work cheaper than your average Mexican worker probably is, because they want to be competitive. They want to get the jobs. I mean, they're like, I mean, whereas You know, one guy is going to work for, I don't know, let's just say $6 Canadian. Another guy will probably work for 4. And any business owner with a brain over there is going to hire the guy who works for 4.
In,
So it's going to drive down your wages, and it's also going to do what it did in Peru when the Venezuelans came. It's going to piss off a lot of people, as it already has in the happiest place on earth, Tijuana.
fucking Tijuana.
Yes.
There, about it. Do you think this Chile backing down from the Migrant Compact will bring a chain reaction within Latin America? For example, Brazil, we Temer, he isn't that leftist too, and Bolsonaro is coming, and or Colombia or
That's actually a
Paraguay.
very nice question. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, we aren't still like, I will say, in a position in which other countries will follow our example. But I think the most important thing I should say is the reaction many of our major parties have had here, because in this moment we are having the government has been under scrutiny because of the killing of a Mapuche in southern Chile, and because the government has been complicit in covering up, the government has been um, how I said this, yes, has been constantly attacked whether or not they have a hand in the matter or not. But what really I really laugh about this is that these guys are pretending that we backing down from this means that we are not going to allow anyone getting in our country, when we actually are letting people into our country. In fact, there was a plan called Operación Retorno or Plan de Retorno. A Plan de Retorno was a plan in which many migrants from Haiti were given a ticket home. The government gave them a plane, and they shipped many migrants in a plane back to Haiti.
Yeah,
The funny thing is that the leftists here were on a full meltdown, basically saying that this was like the slave ships or something, and saying that we were racist, that this was like that like they were forcing them on gunpoint to leave. But no, these were people who didn't want to be here. These were people who were tired of living here. Now, most of these people were Haitians who didn't get accustomed to the weather. Many Haitians say that they cannot adjust to the weather here in Chile, and in the case of others, they say that they couldn't find a job. But it's not. I think it's not their fault that they couldn't find a job. It's basically the problem of employers. Many employers actually take advantage of Haitians because they can't speak Spanish. They pay them very low wages. So that's it. And what's funny is that those planes that went to Haiti then later came back with Venezuelans.
really?
Yeah.
What?
So yeah, the great exchange. We're giving them back we're bringing back Haitians and we're bringing back Venezuelans.
So you get more arepas.
Yeah, more arepas and more cute mulatas.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's never
I'm actually looking at the refugee compact. I'm trying to see what it has here about the voting, because that's actually something I really don't want to have happen.
Mhm.
So you guys just talk for a second. I'm gonna try to find this, because I need to find this.
Speaking of going back real quick about AMLO. Um,
Mhm.
there's this other matter with his government right now, that which is called the law for remunerations of public servants. You see, he's in which he is treating as a as a crime to win more than the president, that any public servant win more than the president. He currently is winning 108,000 me, me, sorry, 108 pesos. No, 108,000 pesos. Yeah, six figure salary in pesos.
Hey, what happened with the airport?
Um,
By the way,
is still under construction, just to just waiting for the government to get the money to actually to buy back all the investment and
The 8 billion in
cancel it.
bonds they spent.
Yeah,
Ho ho!
but now that that the investors heard that the airport isn't doesn't want is going to be continued for the time being. Well, they don't want to sell their bonds. Like, well, if it's going to continue indefinitely, well, it has a chance to to get finished. And if if that comes to happen, they will get the money for their investment. So in this case, this can be really dangerous for AMLO, because he really went hard against that airport, and people is trusting him to to cancel it. But the problem
I mean, he
is,
should at this point. He should
you
at this point.
he should what?
Cancel the airport, basically. Shut it down.
Yeah, he wants to do it, but if he does it, just because of it, without any compensation for the investors, the government will be sued. Also, this indeed, but going back to the remuneration law, the thing is the minority of the Senate promoted a constitutional controversy in the Supreme Court, and it was admitted to be discussed in the Supreme Court, and the application of the law was suspended. So, for the time being, AMLO can't force anybody to win less than him.
Really?
Yeah, and there's another thing. He's really pissed about it. He was saying that, you know what, uh, the Supreme Court justices don't understand the new reality that this country is living. Like, I think this has been one of the most dangerous declarations he had made, because he also said that he's not that well many people from his close circle has spoke against the Supreme Court and the federal judiciary, because it's so far the only check and balance, uh, counterweight of AMLO's government. So this is things can get really hot in here.
Yeah, we can. Can I ask you a question? People are, around you, for example, on your entourage, because I don't know, many people here don't know about this, don't know about AMLO around here, but for example, your friends, your family, what did they feel about AMLO? Do they like the guy? Do they hate him?
I have a few friends that actually support him.
Okay.
Another that are that voted for him, but that now are skeptic about him.
Mm-hmm.
But the vast majority of my friends and family are against him. My parents were telling me the other day, listening to him talking was like listening to Luis Echeverria and Jose Lopez Portillo, the two of the worst presidents that Mexico had. And
Wow.
well, they wanted to implement these mm, the same policies of AMLO. AMLO is trying to implement right now. So this can get a little, well. Many people know that Mexico has gone this path before, and nevertheless they voted him.
It
So
it it seemed. Well, I mean, like I know a few people who said they were voting for him because they were tired of the corruption and this and that. But the thing is that
yeah,
they said, well, he was a good mayor because he was mayor of Mexico City, I believe.
it's really there were some scandals in during his tenure as mayor of Mexico City, but yeah, many. The thing with AMLO, why many people voted for him is his diagnosis of the situation of the country is totally correct. It's really accurate. Rampant violence and a lot of corruption. So the thing that why he won is that in part he was calling the horse by its name, and and he he stuck to his guns from all this time. The government is corrupt. And people hate to live in a violent environment.
Yeah.
So what is going to maybe many people was thinking maybe we should give him a chance. I mean, uh, the policies he wants to implement are not really the ones that I agree with. I mean, he wants to militarize the police, and make the federal police dependent of the army. So imagine that the army actually patrolling the streets.
That's well, I mean, the army is generally less corrupt than the federal is. So
Yeah, but also the army doesn't. The why Mexican army has been improving in during these years is because they doesn't deal with civilians a lot, and inside the army they look suspicious to for example some elements of the army that have to deal with civilians, like they are totally aside from the civilian life. They doesn't see them. They don't like to being involved in civilian life.
well, I mean, and that makes sense. But you see, the thing is that they're constitutionally obligated to defend the republic from threat external. The cartels can be generally classified as a threat against the state, against the stability of the United States of Mexico, and
Yes.
therefore, the army is obligated to intervene in within the framework of the Constitution of Mexico. Um, which, I mean, I'm quite sure that there is allowances in the Constitution for this. Otherwise, I mean, you wouldn't have the army patrolling the streets now. Um,
Yeah. I mean, the thing with the cartels right now is that mm, maybe well with this amnesty AMLO was proposing for criminals. Many of these criminals uh, are these drug dealers and these cartels, and many people is angry about the proposed solution. I mean, and it's with just reason. Yeah, imagine the president says that, you know what, uh, we're gonna we're asking you to forgive the person that killed your son. No fucking way.
No, yeah, like I agree, but I mean, like, and these kind of blunders that AMLO is doing are they're going to reduce, the competence of investors in Mexico. Like, a lot of people are not going to are going to send their money down south if they know that the police are the only ones handling the cartels, and as they all generally know, the federales are really corrupt.
Yeah, they are.
I mean,
Yeah.
this might sound like an ignorant question, but do you still have rurales as well? I know they're in Michoacan.
Yeah, and in some parts there's the Policía Rural, and well, I mean, you can find corruption in every level uh, of um, of the security forces. But this one, in this case, these people is really um, these people is in a really bad position of in because AMLO is proposing to militarize the country, but
Oh, really?
he's yeah with the subjecting the civil police to the army is what do you think it is? It's a really um, a dangerous thing to do, I think, because soldiers are good for one thing in this case, which is the defense of the country, and they are going to and they're going to shoot to kill. They're not going to, uh, you know, work
Wound or
as
arrest them. They're gonna
yeah,
kill them.
yeah,
Hmm.
and what you God knows what will happen uh, because of that. And also, on the other hand, they are proposing that what we are not. We're asking you to forgive the people that killed your family. Is This is wrong on many levels, and of course the and it I don't know what it's going to happen because his AMLO said he was going to submit to another referendum this thing of the National Guard, as he's calling it, this project.
Okay.
He already had two other referendums. The one of the airport, which was completely illegal, and another also illegal because they were prior to his sworn in about the Mayan train and other projects. The Mayan train is that he wants to make a touristic attraction, a train that goes around the peninsula de Yucatan.
Isn't
Okay.
that gonna cost billions of dollars to do as well?
Yes, and if you cancel the airport, who would like to invest in that?
Well, no one trusts you now. Like Mexico, no one trusts them because I mean they bungled up the airport, and now I mean, why would you just want to give them any money for a railway? You can't trust it.
Exactly,
So I mean,
and
that like I said earlier, these things lower investor confidence. I mean, nobody wants to give you money when you keep bungling it. I mean, I hate to use this as an example, but Newfoundland is a really good one. Um, but the whole Muskrat Fall, like the hydroelectric dam, I mean, the one that costs billions. Um, Nobody wants to get involved in it, and apparently, we may have to sell the project to the government and just default on the loan, or the government will pay us the equivalent of what it's worth, and just take the project and then fix it. but we can't get any investors. Nobody wants to invest in the project because an inquiry was launched and it shows just how flawed it is.
Yes, and I mean the problem with the problem with with sorry, the problem with the lack of trust for investment is another thing. You cancel the airport, which is the main gateway to tourists for this country, which is the airport of Mexico City. And because they were saying also that the airport in the airbase that is going to be the new airport, according to them, is the one that will be used for international flights. The problem is this: if, for example, you're a tourist, if you want to go to Cancun, you most likely will get a flight from wherever you are to Mexico City. And imagine, um, you you get down in the Santa Lucia airport, and you have to go to travel to make a road trip to the other airport to be able to get your flight to Cancun. Finally, it's this the road from one airport to the others have is really long, really expensive, and because you have to pay two tollways stations. So
The toll booths, yeah,
uh,
you gotta pay those.
you have there are two toll booths on the way from Mexico City to to Mexico to Santa Lucia. So imagine that it's a 3 hours ride. So
Ouch.
it's really complicated and really frustrating. Many people will prefer, to um, go somewhere else, and I have to grant it to Peña Nieto's government. They did a really good work in on regarding tourism.
So what's going to happen? Well, I mean, geez, this is terrifying, to be honest. Um, I mean, he's not even president for a week, and he's already damaged the country. He seems I mean, honestly, I mean, and this ties into his decision with the airport and the railways and that. He's a very indecisive man. I mean, and when he does make a decision, it's really arbitrary. That's the word I'm looking for.
It's really. I mean, I'm sure he didn't expect to win, so he's right now improvising.
Well, I mean, he's kind of doing what a lot of politicians do. He made a lot of promises that he knew wouldn't come true. But I think maybe he came up with all these things because he didn't think he was going to win. I mean, he's lost what, twice already?
He lost twice.
So maybe he just said, you know what? I'm going to say this, this, and this. I'm not going to win anyway. What the hell? And then, come the day of the election, and he won. He was just like, oh, holy crap, I'm president. I guess we should go and forgive some drug dealers.
Yes, and that's another problem. If first is the first thing to see is that if as you know, the article of foreign policy that you sent us, that is titled "López Obrador is a pragmatist, not an ideologue." I think it's the total opposite. he's more a failed ideologue because he doesn't really know what the hell is going on. His his image of the government is what the Mexican government was back in the 70s.
Oh, that was a bad time.
Indeed, and
Uh,
he's thinking like PRI of that time when the president was almighty.
he kind of thinks he wields supreme executive power.
Yeah.
And it's a very arbitrary way of doing it. And I mean, and he's even putting in like I remember that some little llama sent out a tweet a while back stating that AMLO was already looking at extending his term limits. He's not even been here like a month, and he's already talking about term limits.
There's some talk of that, and I've heard something like that coming right from the inner AMLO's inner circle.
That's a very dangerous precedent, and I can promise you this: in like foreign investors and even internal like people who live in Mexico and invest in the Mexican economy, they're not going to like that because you know, long term staying in place long term is dangerous because it causes stagnation. Um, I mean, you look at, say, for example, I don't know, Peru in the '90s with Fujimori. When he first got in, everything was good because it was an alternative to Alan Garcia, who had destroyed the country with his bad economic policy and nationalization. And then Fujimori came along, relatively fixed things, but then he was in, he was in a little bit over his term. He was in from 1990 until 2000. And after 93, when he declared himself president essentially for life, the investment dried up after that because everyone knew like sooner or later it was just going to get crooked.
Yeah. And well, about foreign investment, there's this interesting trend right now of foreign investment that was going towards Mexico. Saying that, well, maybe Mexico no, but let's go to Brazil. I mean, Bolsonaro, being all for whatever he's been called, is more friendly towards foreign investment than AMLO, and that's a lot to say. I mean, Mexico was becoming a big, really attractive for foreign investment, and suddenly this imbecile throws it all away with the airport. And many people from AMLO's supporters were saying, "Oh, well, how can you say the capitalist system is really solid if just because of canceling an airport is making it tremble here in Mexico?"
Well, I mean that it's a silly way of thinking because I mean like it's an airport. I mean it costs billions and billions of dollars. I mean it's not like something you can just say, well, here's airport. I don't want it anymore. Take it back to Home Depot.
Yeah, this airport is the biggest work of infrastructure. Oh shit! I did the same that of Enrique Peña Nieto. He did that, or the infrastructure. Sorry. If there are some, you Ernest, another Anglophobes, no phobes,
Anglophiles.
Anglophiles here, please. I'm really sorry for butchering your beautiful language.
Don't feel bad. I do it all the time with Spanish and my horrible syntax is like I can't put them together.
Okay, so the thing here is that many people were saying that you know what, AMLO, the capitalist system is not that solid here in Mexico, just because the airport was cancelled. It's already shaking to its core. Yes, because it was the biggest work of infrastructure in the history of this country. and it was a multi-billion dollar uh, investment. So of that would bring a lot of more investment. So yes, it's it basically is it was going to be, this airport was going to be the gateway for Mexico to the world. So now is what this is not going to be really pleasant for anyone.
No,
Uh,
it's not. And I mean, like, the thing is, even if you went like halfway through the project, it would have been even worse. But I mean, you're already at a stage where it's kind of hard to turn back. I shouldn't say like
yeah,
turning out, but I mean, like, Mexico's already halfway, is already within a good amount of the.
it's 37% of complete of income on completion rate. So almost half the airport is on. I don't know why it stopped now.
Well, people wanted to do the same thing with that hydro dam. Actually, we were 70% complete.
And they wanted to scrap it.
Yep, because it was going to double the electricity rates, even though we'd already spent about $8 billion. Because I remember when the Liberals took power in 2015, they came out and they're like, "Don't you worry, we're going to shut down that bed. We're going to investigate Muskrat Falls, and we're going to look at shutting it down." And I knew one of the cabinet ministers. Well, he was going to be cabinet minister. And he was telling me, he's like, "Look, I'm completely against this airport. I'm completely against this hydro dam. I don't want it built. I want it shut down." Then they all get in and they look at the books and they realize what a mess it is. And this, I was talking to a few other members of the legislature, because I was in the city visiting, and they're just like, honestly, between me and you, it's easy for us to say we're opposed to it and that we don't want it to happen in like our backyard. But when you look at the cost, I mean, there's $8 billion already spent, and if you cancel it, you mean you've got to pay the cancellation fees to the to the construction companies. You still got a loan. I mean, that $8 billion isn't going anywhere.
Yeah, and this kind of is these projects for in the case of countries like Mexico, which is not an established economic superpower, that i these projects are used to build trust and to build investment. I mean, mm, now that Bolsonaro, the thing is that the contrast with of AMLO and Bolsonaro is AMLO is trying to organize the country on an economical level, like to impose the direction of the government to the economy,
Mm-hmm.
which I think history ha- has gave us a lot of examples of why that doesn't work.
Oh yeah,
And
it really has.
on the other side, Bolsonaro is saying, you know what, I'm going to work. I'm just going to work a solution for the security and corruption, but I'm not gonna touch the markets. So basically this is the big contrast between them, and why they are there's one attracting a lot of investment, and the other is scaring the investors away. uh, I mean, just to get to the other topic about AMLO's government, there's this thing that it worries me a lot: the moral constitution.
Yes, I've heard you talk about it, and I've seen a few things on it. Since Spanish isn't my first language, it's harder for me to wrap my head around it than you would. So why don't you just explain to me and the other listeners what your concerns are with this moral constitution, and the impact that it's going to have on the average Mexican citizen.
Yeah. The moral constitution that AMLO is proposing, he says, uh, uh, is not gonna be a legally binding document. It's just to be a series of guiding principles of the conduct of the people of Mexico, the best of what the Mexican culture has to offer, according to his words, because the people is good. I mean, yeah, people is oriented to good, but I mean, the he what but I don't know what is going to happen when this document is finally published. I mean, there's not going to. Is it going to be something like the Red Book of Mao? Because what is going to happen when somebody uh, uh, infringes something that is stipulated on the Constitution? Like, I don't know, something. Will the government will seek punishment for that deed? So, I mean, it it looks like something that could be like the cultural revolution all over again, but in Mexico.
That's actually quite scary, to be honest. Because I mean, here's the thing: how is this moral constitution going to apply? I mean, is it going to take precedence over the federal constitution? Is the federal constitution going to be replaced with the moral constitution of Mexico? I mean, there's a lot of unanswered questions here.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a couple of people that are with AMLO in this, and the moral constitution is going to be created by the suggestions that people send to his team. So who is who? Yeah, and the people in charge of selecting these recommendations that people send them are really when they are with the people close to AMLO, and they have their own morality. The fact that the government is trying or implying that the certain morality is the one that every Mexican citizen should follow goes against even the confessional nature of the state. I mean, yes, I always say that Mexico is a Catholic country. Yes, Mexico is a Catholic country because the vast majority of its population is Catholic. But one thing is the religion, and another thing is the public affairs. So, as Jesus Christ said, render unto Caesar that of Caesar, and render unto God what is of God.
Which is true, and I don't know what to say on this yet. I mean, I from what I've heard and from what you mentioned it to me in passing, I actually think this is one of the larger threats to the the liberty of the average Mexican citizen. Because I mean, and here's the thing: like, how do people know that these are suggestions of the people? I mean, you could have say, I don't know, 100,000 people come and vote, and it could still be, that they can take a look at it. It'll probably be like what they're doing with Cuba. They'll get the Constitution and they'll look at it and go, well, democracy, no. Human rights, definitely not. Respect for journalists, there's no such thing. It's that kind of thing. Like, all they have to do is just say, listen, so many people voted, here's a fake number, with some nice poll results looking at it. Go from there, and trust me, this is people in Mexico want their rights restricted. Well, I mean, I'm just saying is that's what they're going to try to phrase it as, like, and people are just going to give themselves away. Like, I mean, if they actually agree to this without any government interference,
Yeah, and this the many people is criticizing him, telling them that that him being so a big admirer of Benito Juarez, he is actually uh, going against everything Juarez stand for, which was the a confessional nature of the state. He really fought. He really fought a big battle for it, and I don't agree with their methods or the volume of his will to make Mexico and a confessional state, but it was something that was needed to be done.
It was, and we can explain that in another episode. I guess a little bit in a little bit more detail. Um,
Yes, of course.
I'm going to be watching the situation in Mexico very closely because it's. I mean, like I said, it's not even a week since he's president. Well, it is a week today, I believe. And he's already causing so much chaos. I mean, he was even causing chaos before he even took the oath of office and got the sash. This couldn't bode badly for Mexico. Now, is AMLO also going to be looking at surveillance in his moral constitution? I mean, is he going to say, we need to keep you safe, and the only way to keep you safe is to have more cameras watching you and less freedom?
I mean, the people that is participating with this of the moral constitution is the same people that is criticizing right now the Supreme Court for behaving like a counterbalance for AMLO's power. So imagine what is going to be written in that moral constitution.
Wow. It does not bode well for us. And I mean, is there legal avenues to challenge this kind of thing?
As long as the document is not legally binding, there's nothing you can do about it. There's an interesting fact. The electronic mail, the email account where it's that the people, AMLO's people told to that the suggestions for the moral constitution is going are to be sent is not an official government email account.
Oh
It's
my.
another Gmail. It's just a Gmail account. So what tells you he that's a really coward move. I mean, you and your government want a moral constitution. Why
But you don't
why
have the sorry.
why are you working outside the infrastructure of the government? They they are just trying to to claim that wasn't their their move, their action, in case everything goes to shit.
But I mean, it's strange because I mean, if they're setting up an alternative email for this, I mean that here, at least here in Canada, that's illegal. The government cannot use a private email system for public business because I mean, a moral constitution would most definitely be a public business, or would be the public's interest, I should say. And so, um, that alone, at least here, would kind of shut down the conversation because you can't do these kinds of things. It's it just really wouldn't fly here. And look, I come from the most nepotistic province in the country, and even they wouldn't touch this with a 10-foot pole because there's rules. I We're gonna have to touch on this onto another episode. I mean, it's a big topic. It's a concerning topic. I think we should probably get a few people who have political science degrees in on this as well.
Yeah, I mean the final draft for the model constitution will be presented in the middle of the next year. So
hopefully they'll protest and sort it out a little bit. I think we've covered a fair bit of this right now.
We have.
We've both had a rather long weekend. Just a full disclosure, everyone, I went to a Christmas party for the place I work at yesterday, and I will admit I'm a little bit tired. So I'm going to be wrapping this up a little bit earlier than we usually do, but we did a good job for two people who have survived Christmas refreshments.
Yeah, we have an incident with the eggnog.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, that Santa Claus, man, he's an alcoholic. He's preserved. That's why he's been around for like 1,000 years, because he's literally pickled in liquor. But so with that, though, I think I want to wish everyone a good night. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next week for the 20th and last episode of this year.
Yeah, thank you for watching. So, if you like our channel, please subscribe, follow us on Twitter. The handle is down there, and of course you're invited to join our Discord server.
Yes, you are. Please come on to our Discord. We're lonely, and we need you to come and keep us thinking, because we rely on you guys to move the conversation, especially on Latin American affairs, forward. So with that, we're signing off. Have a good night, everyone.
Good night.